Thinking was once scarce. For most of human history, information was scarce. Knowledge traveled slowly through oral tradition, handwritten texts, and limited schooling. Cognitive effort was spent preserving memory, not filtering noise. Historians and cognitive scientists agree that scarcity shaped deep attention and long memory retention. Thinking felt difficult, but it was focused, linear, and deliberate, constrained by limited inputs rather than overwhelmed by excess. The printing press changed the mind. The printing press radically expanded access to information. Scholars initially feared cognitive overload, as readers now faced more texts than ever before. Yet information flow remained slow and bounded. Cognitive research shows humans adapted by developing indexing, categorization, and deep reading habits. Thinking became structured, not scattered, because information density increased without constant interruption. Industrial time reshaped attention. Industrialization introduced clocks, schedules, and repetitive tasks. Attention shifted from reflection to efficiency. Cognitive historians note that factory time disciplined human thought into segments, reducing contemplative thinking. However, inputs were still limited. Mental fatigue existed, but cognitive overload remained rare because information sources were finite and predictable. Early media increased input, not speed. Radio, newspapers, and television expanded information exposure but maintained passive consumption. Studies of 20th century media show attention spans adapted without collapse because input frequency remained controlled. Viewers consumed content in blocks, not streams. Cognitive systems still had recovery time, allowing memory consolidation and sustained reasoning. The internet breaks the pattern. The internet changed everything by removing friction. Information became instant, infinite, and interactive. Cognitive psychology identifies this moment as the beginning of true information overload, where input volume exceeded processing capacity. Unlike earlier media, the internet demands constant decision-making, fragmenting attention and exhausting working memory. Cognitive overload becomes measurable. Psychologists define cognitive overload as the state where incoming information surpasses mental processing limits. Peer-reviewed studies show overload reduces reasoning accuracy, memory retention, and decision quality. Unlike fatigue, overload accumulates silently. As digital inputs multiply, thinking feels harder not because of complexity, but because capacity is exceeded. Attention was not designed for streams. Human attention evolved for environmental scanning, not continuous symbolic input. Neuroscience research confirms attention works best in focused intervals with rest. Digital systems violate this rhythm by producing uninterrupted streams. As attention fragments, deep thinking becomes biologically difficult, not psychologically weak. This mismatch explains rising cognitive strain. Memory begins to externalize. With digital search, memory shifts outward. The Google effect shows people remember where information is stored rather than the information itself. Cognitive studies confirm this reduces long-term memory encoding. Thinking feels harder because memory no longer supports reasoning internally. It must be constantly retrieved externally. Multitasking is a cognitive illusion. Research consistently shows multitasking degrades performance. What feels like parallel thinking is rapid task switching, which consumes cognitive resources. Each switch imposes a mental cost. Digital environments encourage constant switching, increasing mental fatigue while reducing depth. Thinking becomes shallow not by choice, but by design. The foundation is set by the time AI arrives. The human mind is already overloaded, distracted, and externally dependent. Cognitive systems are strained before automation begins. This historical trajectory explains why modern thinking feels harder than before. AI does not create the problem, but it amplifies the conditions that made it inevitable. Digital input accelerates. By the early 2000s, digital input shifted from periodic to continuous. Email, messaging, and online news created a constant stream of information requiring response. Cognitive studies show this transition increased task switching frequency, which directly correlates with reduced comprehension and memory formation. Thinking begins to feel effortful as mental resources are spent managing inputs rather than reasoning. The rise of continuous partial attention. Psychologists describe modern attention as continuous partial attention, a state where individuals scan multiple information streams without full focus. Research shows this state increases stress hormones and decreases cognitive depth. Unlike focused attention, partial attention never resolves tasks fully, leaving the mind in a constant state of alertness and fatigue. Working memory hits its limits. Working memory is limited by biology. Cognitive science estimates humans can actively process only a small number of elements at once. Digital environments routinely exceed this limit. Studies show when working memory is overloaded, reasoning quality drops sharply. The brain compensates by simplifying thought, making complex thinking feel exhausting. Notification systems hijack attention. Notification systems are designed to capture attention instantly. Behavioral research confirms unpredictable alerts trigger dopamine responses, reinforcing checking behavior. This fragments attention throughout the day. Each interruption resets cognitive focus, increasing mental effort required to resume thought. Over time, sustained reasoning becomes increasingly difficult. Information becomes infinite. Information volume now grows faster than human processing ability. Psychological literature identifies this imbalance as the core driver of information overload. When relevance filtering fails, individuals experience confusion and decision paralysis. Thinking feels harder not due to lack of intelligence, but due to excess unresolved inputs competing for attention. Memory weakens under load. Chronic overload impairs memory consolidation. Studies show that when attention is divided, information fails to transfer into long-term memory. As a result, reasoning lacks internal reference points. Thinking slows because the mind must repeatedly reprocess information instead of building on stored knowledge. Decision fatigue sets in. Modern environments require constant micro-decisions. Psychological research links high decision frequency to decision fatigue, reducing judgment quality over time. As cognitive energy depletes, individuals default to simpler choices or avoidance. Thinking feels heavier because mental energy is consumed long before meaningful reasoning begins. Speed replaces reflection. Digital culture prioritizes speed over reflection. Cognitive studies show rapid consumption discourages deep processing, favoring surface understanding. When reflection time disappears, insight declines. Thinking becomes reactive rather than analytical, reinforcing the perception that sustained thought is unusually difficult. Cognitive load becomes chronic. Unlike temporary fatigue, cognitive overload becomes chronic when recovery periods vanish. Research shows sustained overload alters attention patterns and increases anxiety. The mind remains in a constant state of partial engagement, making deep thinking feel unnatural rather than normal. This sets the stage for AI's arrival. The pre-AI crisis. Before AI meaningfully enters daily life, human cognition is already strained. Attention is fragmented, memory externalized, and reasoning weakened by overload. This pre-existing crisis explains why AI feels both relieving and threatening. It enters a system already at its limits. AI arrives as mental relief. By the time AI enters daily life, people are already overwhelmed. Microsoft's 2023 Work Trend Index found the average worker is interrupted every 2 minutes, over 250 times a day. When AI starts summarizing emails or meetings, people feel instant relief. You hear it when someone says, "I can finally focus," even though the chaos is still there. Time saved, thinking shifts. McKinsey Global Institute reported in 2023 that generative AI can automate 30 to 40% of routine cognitive work. In real life, this looks like someone who once spent an hour drafting emails now finishing in 10 minutes. But remove the tool, and they hesitate. The work is faster, yet thinking feels harder without assistance. Attention gets assigned. OECD digital economy research shows algorithmic filtering improves efficiency but reduces exposure to diverse information. Today, people stop searching and trust feeds to decide what matters. You notice it when someone says, "I didn't see that news," even though it was everywhere. Attention isn't broken, it's been quietly reassigned. Memory quietly weakens. In a famous science journal study, psychologists showed people remember less information when they believe it will be digitally stored. Today, this appears when someone can't recall directions, numbers, or facts without checking their phone. Ask them on the spot, and there's silence. Memory hasn't vanished, it's simply unemployed. Decision fatigue becomes normal. The American Psychological Association notes decision fatigue increases when people face constant micro-choices. Today, this looks like someone scrolling for 10 minutes just to pick a video. AI offers recommendations to reduce stress, but it also removes practice. Fewer decisions feel easier, until simple choices start feeling exhausting. Thinking outsourced by default. MIT researchers studying human-AI collaboration found people defer to AI suggestions even when unsure they're correct. In daily life, you see it when someone says, "The AI suggested this, so I went with it." The brain saves energy, but critical thinking muscles weaken from lack of resistance. Learning feels slower than before. UNESCO education studies show comprehension drops when learners rely heavily on summaries instead of original material. You notice it when someone watches explainers but struggles to explain back. Knowledge feels familiar yet shallow. The brain recognizes patterns, but doesn't fully build them anymore. Creativity changes shape. Adobe's Future of Creativity research found creators using AI produce more output but spend less time exploring ideas. In real life, designs appear faster but look similar. People say, "It works," not "it excites me." Creativity becomes efficient, polished, and slightly predictable. Thinking isn't gone, it's redirected. Neuroscience research published in Nature Human Behavior shows the brain adapts to tools by reallocating effort, not losing ability. People still think deeply, just about fewer things. The problem isn't AI. It's when everything thinks for you. That's when thinking starts to feel heavy. Recognize the overload. Cognitive science shows that recognizing overload is the first step to recovery. American Psychological Association, 2023. In daily life, you see it when a person stops mid-scroll and thinks, "Wait, I'm checking everything but learning nothing." Awareness itself reduces stress, allowing you to pause, breathe, and reclaim focus before the mind fragments further. Delegate wisely to AI. McKinsey Global Institute research reports AI can reduce up to 40% of repetitive cognitive tasks. Real life, someone using AI to draft emails or summarize meetings saves hours, but still reviews outputs critically. Delegation works best when humans remain decision makers. AI handles the grunt work, but judgment and creativity remain yours. Train attention like a muscle. Neuroscience shows attention is trainable through focused practice. Nature Human Behavior, 2022. In real life, this is like setting 2 hours daily for uninterrupted work, turning off notifications, and resisting tab hopping. You'll notice a difference when complex tasks no longer feel impossible, and mental endurance improves over time. Use AI to augment memory. Studies of external memory systems show people remember more effectively when AI aids retrieval while prompting reflection. Sparrow et al., Science, 2011. Real-world example. Instead of memorizing dates or numbers, you use AI notes to trigger recall and reinforce patterns. The mind frees capacity for problem-solving while memory stays engaged. Slow down for deep thinking. Educational research indicates deep comprehension occurs in slow, deliberate intervals. Springer, 2025. In daily life, this is setting aside time to read, write, or analyze without interruption. You'll notice the difference when you can explain concepts fully without needing an AI prompt, restoring confidence and cognitive stamina. Real-life AI workflow strategies. Research from McKinsey, 2023, shows effective AI adoption increases efficiency by 30 to 40%. In practice, this means using AI to draft reports, summarize meetings, or plan schedules, while humans review and refine. For example, a marketer can generate content ideas instantly but still add personal insights. AI becomes a partner, not a crutch, letting you handle more without thinking less. Balancing speed and reflection. Educational psychology studies, Springer, 2025, show rapid information processing increases errors and reduces comprehension. A real-life example, checking emails in 5 minutes versus reflecting for 20. Speed gets things done, but reflection ensures understanding. To think better, alternate fast task bursts with deliberate focus periods, letting your brain integrate insights instead of just reacting. Avoiding shallow multitasking. Neuroscience research confirms task switching decreases cognitive performance. Nature Human Behavior, 2022. In daily life, this looks like checking social media while drafting a presentation. You feel busy but accomplish little. Using AI to handle repetitive tasks frees you to focus on one thing at a time. You notice clarity returns, and deep thinking feels achievable again. Enhancing creativity with AI. Adobe's 2024 research shows AI-assisted creative workflows increase output but require human input for originality. In practice, a designer uses AI to explore multiple iterations quickly but adds personal flair and strategy. You'll notice the difference when AI generates drafts instantly, yet the final vision still carries your unique insight. AI multiplies creativity, it doesn't replace it. Integrating AI without losing yourself. Cognitive psychology emphasizes mindful use of technology to prevent dependency. APA, 2023. Real life. Someone relying entirely on AI loses problem-solving practice. Instead, alternating AI-assisted tasks with solo effort strengthens reasoning. You keep your thinking muscles active, using AI as a tool, not a replacement. Balance is key, control is liberation. Social dynamic shift. OECD reports that AI adoption changes communication patterns, making digital collaboration faster but often shallower. In daily life, you notice it when teams rely on AI summaries instead of discussion. People feel connected yet less socially aware. Cognitive load is reduced, but empathy and nuanced conversation require conscious effort to preserve. Skills evolve rapidly. McKinsey 2024 study finds 50% of workers need reskilling in AI-augmented environments. Today, this is visible when a former data analyst must learn AI tools to automate tasks previously done manually. Those adapting thrive, while others struggle. In real life, skill evolution is less about learning more, and more about learning differently. Leadership roles transform. Harvard Business Review shows leaders now act more as coordinators of AI-augmented teams than traditional managers. In practice, a project lead spends less time tracking tasks and more on strategy, vision, and decision-making. Teams shrink, output rises, and leadership becomes influence over AI-human systems rather than human-only hierarchies. Cognitive leverage expands. Research from Nature Human Behavior, 2022, highlights that individuals who pair AI tools with deliberate focus outperform larger teams doing the same work manually. In real life, freelancers or solopreneurs using AI can produce at corporate scale, freeing mental resources for creativity and analysis. Small minds with AI can think big. Knowledge becomes networked. Studies on AI-assisted learning show knowledge is now externalized and networked. For example, someone using AI to analyze market trends leverages collective intelligence instantly, rather than learning each detail manually. Thinking evolves from memorization to pattern recognition, connecting information dynamically instead of linearly. Attention remains a key asset. APA research emphasizes that even with AI, human attention remains a scarce resource. You notice it when someone ignores AI-generated summaries because they're mentally exhausted. Skills in focus, prioritization, and selective attention now determine who thrives cognitively, even in highly automated environments. Creativity becomes human-AI collaboration. Adobe's 2024 report highlights that creativity increases when humans use AI for iteration and inspiration. A designer producing hundreds of AI-assisted concepts can focus on originality, strategy, and aesthetics. Daily life shows that output rises, but innovation still requires the uniquely human touch of judgment and taste. Ethical and cultural awareness. AI changes not just thinking, but values. UNESCO research notes that reliance on AI requires stronger ethical judgment and cultural literacy. In practice, individuals must decide when to trust AI outputs and when human insight is critical. Societies that educate for AI literacy thrive, while others risk cognitive dependency. Thriving cognitively in the AI era, research from McKinsey and APA suggests that the most resilient individuals combine AI tools with deliberate reflection, focused attention, and continuous learning. Real-life examples: people who use AI for automation but still write, plan, and strategize manually retain cognitive strength. Balance is not optional, it is survival. AI reshapes attention, memory, skills, and leadership, but thinking doesn't disappear, it adapts. Those who leverage AI thoughtfully thrive cognitively and socially. If you found this exploration valuable, support our channel by liking and subscribing. Stay aware, stay deliberate, and let AI enhance your mind, not replace it.